In terms of silver equities and silver exploration companies, out of all the commodities, it seems that silver is one that is actually trading to commodity price. A real strange thing that's happened recently as we've seen commodity prices increase and then the underlying explorers haven't really moved, and that is not the case for silver. And so I'd like to enjoy talking to you about Outcrop Silver, which is a true primary silver deposit. Peter alluded to this, but only about 25% of all the silver produced from mines in the world come from primary silver mines that are actually true. The majority of their production is actually silver. And that's important because as silver price runs, right, it means the other commodity, if 30% comes from copper mines, they are pretty much agnostic to silver price. So it means it's harder to get an excessive amount of new production online. Obviously, lots of forward-looking statements, and I'm here to talk to you about our flagship Santa Ana project located in Falan, Tolima, Colombia. So first, a little bit of a backdrop of what makes Outcrop so special. The first, I think many of you know about, is the overall grade. It's the highest grade undeveloped project, primary silver project in the world that I personally know of, a true standout for the overall grade. But the other piece that's very, very special, I'm a mining engineer by background, like being part of projects that become future mines, is the recovery. We're seeing a 96% recovery in silver and a 98.5% recovery in gold on the project. 73% of our resource is silver, the remaining is gold. But the third piece is a very high concentrate grade that is important because A, it's a precious metal concentrate. That means that we would see a very, very high payable due to the grade and the cleanness of it, and that it's actually being sold as a precious metal. It's not silver contained in a zinc or a lead concentrate. And it's so high grade that it is even possible to smelt directly. So we could recover and create silver doré without the use of leaching, no cyanide. But it's more important, I guess, from an economic standpoint that you have a very high grade. We're talking, rock that's worth about $600 a ton, maintaining the value through the production stream, through a high recovery and a high concentrate payable. That means that we will see, we'll maintain the valuation of that silver within that deposit. But it's also the reason why that we carry the valuation. There's a group of companies that carry that premium primary silver valuation, and that is on the back of our 37+ million ounce resource that we have. And I'm going through this because I get asked, what is the catalyst? What are the things that are going to create value for Outcrop Silver? And the truth is our value is underpinned by a valuation per ounce in the ground. So in order to create value for shareholders, A, pray for silver price to go up, which I agree with Peter. It's going to happen. Don't know when. In the meantime, how do I create value for our shareholders? So our 37 million ounce deposit is based really off of 6 different veins, individually adding a big important component to those ounces and also continuing high grade. So we said, how are we going to add additional value? Last year in April, we started with 1 drill, moved to 2 drill, and it was focused on testing additional targets, finding more veins to add more resources. And that puts me in a very comfortable position today because 2025 is focused as we hit those targets. Now we know where the ounces can come from, and it's about resource drilling. We have a 24,000 meter program that will be about $12 million Canadian. But I know that $12 million can double, quadruple, hopefully, the value that it can create in increased resources with our goal of doing an updated resource to be released in Q1 of 2026. Looking at the deposit, you can see the majority, the green lines are where our resource is from. It's mostly in the northeast. Last year, we took big step outs, testing a lot of new areas. And you can see the idea is to take green, which is our current resources, add more veins to that resource, and continue to backfill. So we look forward to creating a lot of new value through an increased resource, which is what is underpinning our value. I call it accretive exploration. We know how much it costs per meter we drill, and our goal is to be drilling on the areas that convert resources on the cheapest dollars per meter cost. right? So my point is that we have a plan that we believe can create significant value for our shareholders independently if silver price goes up. And if it does go up, we are extremely leveraged to, as our share price shows, we track very closely to actual silver price, can create significant value for our shareholders. The rest of the summary is we are in the classic mining district of Colombia. We have Aris Mining with 2 mines in very similar narrow high-grade veins, but in gold producing over 200,000 ounces a year, producing 2,000 tons per day. So people ask, is it possible to mine? Of course it is. There's existing mines, but it's also an area that knows mining. We have a gold mine directly south of us, which is private. And we're in a district that has known mining since colonial times, about 400 years ago. The next is we are a part of the identity of our local community. So we've gone past just, do they like us? Are they going to prove it? Or et cetera. They know it. They're accustomed to it. But this is Fallon, which is the closest town to us, and they've actually identified in their letters in their town square, each one a part of their identity. And L is about the legacy and the future potential of silver, and actually with the geologist looking at a piece of core, one of our geologists actually. So we are now part of the community. We are a part of their own identity, and we've aligned ourselves with the Tolima government and seeing obviously the association of silver, the energy transition, solar power, which is now solar panels, which is now over 25% of all use of silver. Myself, my background, mining engineer. Of my almost 30 years, 25 of those are working in South America. Joined us recently, Rob Scott from Great Bear, Thiana Alvarez, who's with us, just named one of the most influential women in Colombia based on her work, especially with sustainable development. Guillermo from Mexico understands, our VPX understands these narrow vein systems. Kathy, I call her the most silver of us all. She's previously from Silver Corp. Joe, who was the original CEO of the company and a geologist, discovered it. Ana Milena is the director of Freeport-McMoRan in Colombia, ex-executive vice president of Collective Mining, president of Women of Mining in Colombia. So an extremely strong team. I live myself in Medellin, Colombia. I'm fluent in Spanish and like being a part of driving these projects forward. How can they become mines, and how can we create value for our shareholders in the meantime? And then the other big news is last year, Eric Sprott increased his position to 19%. He went from about 11% to almost 19.9% ownership within our, which I think he believes in the direction that we are going. So in summary, we know where our valuation comes from. We know we're leveraged to silver. We're primary silver, high grade, high recovery, high quality concentrate, established resource, and we know how to create value even if silver price continues to move sideways. But the long term, we have that accretive growth that we can create more value than we're spending by increasing our resource. We're positioned very well to execute on that in 2025. And obviously, Peter would agree, the outlook on silver could never be better, and we are highly leveraged to silver price. Thank you.